But like, if you're not writing code on Sunday morning, what are you doing? Hello, everybody. I'm going to keep working on this game. I cheated a little bit, which is that I used my brain to think about this when I wasn't working on it. That's cheats, right? Resume timer. Rock and roll. Let's do it. Got some time. Want to squeeze in some more features on the weekend. See where we left off. Fly around. Add gun. Boop, 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 boop. So now we want to build pieces on the ship. So when you click, it should place the piece. So let's do that. Should be easy. I've already got the method for adding a piece to the ship, and I've got a method for determining what you're moused over and snapping to it. So should be able to build pieces on pretty quickly. Remove this old function. Ship builder. Let's just do mouse click right now. Get mouse button down. What do we call this? Add piece, attach piece. Attach current piece. Let's be nice and wordy. Oh, coffee. Beautiful coffee. Never change coffee. All right. So we have a method in ship called add piece. Where was our add piece method? I think it was in ship. Things are already getting cluttered. Aha. Do I want anything outside of this to worry about indexing into the data structure of the ship? I think maybe I just keep this version of the method private and just have things outside say what slot they want to put things in, because they have ways to access the slots. I don't know. I don't know. We'll just make this one public for now. Put some errors in here. We'll be precise. Let's call it null. All right. So now let's say so we add our piece to the slot. Then what else needs to happen? We have no validation yet to see if a piece actually fits in the place we're trying to put it. But that's okay. Can get to that. Add the current piece. Stop it. Did this out of order. Add the current piece to the targeted build slot. Oh, cannot convert to game piece. Let's hang on to the reference to the actual build piece component since we want to be doing stuff with it. Looks like that didn't break anything else. We were probably just using its transform. I don't know why I was grabbing it as a game object. Okay. Add the build piece to the slot. Current piece equals null. Targeted build slot equals null. Yeah, we just stamp it in there and then clear everything out. And I think everything's checking if we have a current piece to determine whether to do the other logic. So this should just work, I think. At least basically work. Flying around. We're gonna say add gun. Snap a gun on here. Boop. Oh. All right. So when we add pieces, they're not getting parented into the ship. So this is a good time to do the thing here. Okay. So when we add pieces to the ship, we don't just add them to the data structure. We need to actually attach them on. So. How's our ship structured right now? It's got a collider on itself. Okay, so I think what we want to do is just child things onto the ship object itself. So we want to parent it to the ship. Here's a question. Where are these build slots going at runtime? They're just in a big pile. I think it's time to kind of organize the parts of the ship a little bit. Add gun. Doop. Set parent. Maybe when we assign the build piece, we want this thing to do the parenting to itself. Would that be good? We'll make this a property. Return build piece. And when we set this property, we'll do the parenting here, so that when a piece gets assigned, it becomes childed in. Set it to the value. And child it to us. Actually, before assigning it, we probably want to unparent whatever was previously there. Maybe we just don't assign this unless the slot is empty. Start with the basics. There needs to be some validation so that if you try to attach a piece where there's already a piece attached, it won't let you. But I'm not sure where that should happen, and we'll add it shortly. So add gun, boop. Oh, look at that. Add gun, boop. Oh, wait. What's happening? Oh, it threw an error. Okay. Something straight up broke. That's okay. Add gun. No error. Add gun again. And that disappears. And then when I try to add another piece, add gun. Okay. Okay. Couple of things happening. I think I've got multiple mistakes going on here. Add gun. Gook. All right. I see. So when I place a piece and then place a... Hello again. Welcome back. Some Sunday morning coding going on over here. Been itching to keep cranking on this. This will probably be a slightly longer session than the last couple. All right. So building pieces on the ship. Right now, if I attach a piece, it works. And then if I attach another piece, the previous one disappears. So let's see. What's happening when I click? Screwed up my logic. Follow mouse, attach current piece. Should add the piece to the ship and then null out. I gotta figure out what's happening to the pieces that disappear. So I go to attach a gun, boop, attach a gun. That got childed into this slot. So that's where we want it. So what happens when I click add another one? Oh, the slot's being turned off. I see. So this is really working. It's just, I forgot I was toggling the slots on and off to set whether or not they're visible. So, what do I do here? I can either add a separate method for turning on and off the visibility of the slots, or I can not child to the slots. I think I want to give the slots a... So I'm just straight up toggling the build slots on and off depending on whether they're being visualized, and that is not how I should be doing it. So let's do this thing. Give the build slots a reference to their, we're just going to have them turn their sprite on and off depending on whether it's visible or not. Let's make this a property actually. How's it going, Starfly? I had to squint at your name because I've got my stream very small and my chat very screwed up. I'm multi-streaming to Twitch and YouTube, but my streaming software is only showing the Twitch chat, not the YouTube chat, so I'm looking at it on the overlay. There's got to be a fix for that. Things I need to find out the answer to. Okay, there, I made it bigger so I can see. Anyway. So let's add a property for setting true. Let's add a property for toggling whether you can see the build slot or not. Set it to the value and toggle whether the sprite renderer is on. So now I'm going to, instead of turning those slots on and off, going to set visible to false. Or set visible to true. All right, let's try this. So now I'm not turning them on or off, just toggling their visibility. Oh, I need to, the slots need a reference to there's build slot. This needs a reference to its sprite renderer. Okay, let's try this. Add a gun, click. Add a gun, click. Look at that. We're building ships. All right, cool. So I've got these little pink attach points, and I want to be able to see. Okay, a couple things. So I want these little snap points to appear in all the places where things are available to snap. And in order to do that, Right now I'm just manually placing them, but I want them to go away when things are attached and appear when things are available to be attached. So I'm going to set up a method that visualizes all of the attachment points of the pieces on the ship. Methinks. So I'm going to have the ship draw all of its own attach points, and I'm going to have the piece that you're attaching draw all of its attach points so that you can see those little joints where things can click on. So let's do that. So we already have a method for visualizing the build area. So let's visualize the snap points. So if the build area is visible, we want the snap points visible. So let's make a method for it. We'll show all of the places where you can attach a piece to the ship. Five-hour mark. I'm an eighth of the way through this prototype. Sorry, through this finished game. It's not bad. Gotten quite a bit done on it, I feel like. All right. So let's give this thing a reference to the snap point prefab. Do a little helper method to clear out the snap points. Actually, I could just do it as part of this. What did I just call this thing? Oh. I normally underscore my private fields, and I forgot to. All right. If the snap points is not equal to null, then we iterate through them and destroy them all. Destroy the snap points. Then create a new collection. And now we're going to just create all the snap points. So, going to iterate through. Going to iterate through all the snap points. We're going to iterate through all the build pieces. No, I think actually what we do is... no. For each build piece, P in all of the build pieces in the ship. I'm gonna mute for a second. Alright, so for each build piece that is currently in the ship, we're going to... So what I'm trying to do is visualize all of the snap points where things can attach onto the ship currently. So for each of the pieces of the ship currently attached to it, we're going to look at what attach points it's supposed to have and instantiate a little graphic for each of them. So if nothing is there, so if a piece has an attach point where a neighboring piece can go, but something's already attached there, we don't want to show that. We just want to show them as connected. But if there's like an available slot, like an attach point that's pointed at an empty slot, we want to create a little graphic to go there. So for each of the build pieces, I think each build piece has okay. We want to grab all the snap points. For each of the snap points, and if we're supposed to have a snap point there, let's see. We need to I think I keep running into the same piece of functionality that I need, so I need to go add a little helper method. So I think for a build slot, we need to get its neighbor in a direction. So going to got a message. Okay, so convert this to an integer if it is direction value. Good old switch statement. First one of the project. Actually, I don't even need to convert this into an integer. Let's just do direction. We're always doing east, north, west, south in that order. So turn neighbor 0, break. East, north, west, south. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Why is this unreachable code? Oh, you don't need breaks if you're returning. Huh, okay. That's fine. Otherwise, return null, I guess. Shouldn't ever be able to reach there, but the code doesn't know it. Might be a cleaner way to do that. Okay, so now we can get a neighbor slot in a direction. For each build piece, get a collection of snap points. If snap points in that direction, isn't this just Booleans? It's a hash set. Why is it a hash set? Oh, because I have a hash set of snap points here. I'm going to rename this. Actually... I'm going to go back to that in a little bit. A little bit. A minute. We're going to call this... Okay. I'm going to fix this real quick. I'm going to rename this snap point sprites. Just snap point objects, I guess. Okay, so we're going to create a new collection here. For each build piece, we're going to look at all of its neighbors. And if there's supposed to be a snap point in that direction, and if the current build piece, we're going to do a bunch of ands here. And so here's the first condition. So if we're supposed to be able to attach in that direction, that's what this is. And and the slot okay. Get neighbor and direction. Okay. So if we're supposed to be able to snap in that direction, for each of the 4 directions, north, south, east, west, if we're supposed to be able to snap in that direction, and there is a slot available in that direction, and that slot is empty, then we will show the snap point. So we'll instantiate a snap point. Set the parent to ourselves. So we're going to instantiate a snap point, parent it to ourselves. Position it at okay, so this will be a little tricky. We got to position the snap point so that it appears in the right place on the chip. And figuring out where that is going to require getting a direction vector, because each piece has a size of 1 unit. So, and the center of the piece is in the center. So if we want a snap point to appear at the edge of a piece to show that you can attach there, it's got to be offset by a ½ unit in the direction that it's facing. So that's going to require getting like a vector from the direction. So I'm going to make a method for this. Build slot S and direction D. So this is going to be, we're going to start with the build slots position. And then we're going to offset it in the direction that we want the snap point to appear. And before I do that, I'm getting some coffee. BRB. refueled. Coffee time. All right. So where was I? I am visualizing all the snap points. So is there a way... I'm actually going to do some boring Googling for a second. So I think there's a way to add like an extension method to an enum so that I can convert a direction into a vector. Let's see. I want to add a method to an enum. Possible letter grades that a student may receive in a class. So extension methods are something I'm not super familiar with, but I remember that this is how you do this. Okay, there's an example of this. Let's see if I can just... Okay, this example might be a little bit more... than I need. Whoop. Okay. So extension methods let you add a piece of functionality to like an enum. So I can ask the direction, hey, give me a vector for your direction. The example is that they have like a grades enum and you can ask it whether the grade is passing or not. So what I need is so I want to be able to ask a direction, hey, give me a vector direction that you correspond to. So if I say direction.east.direction as norm vector, it'll give me like 1, 0. If I ask for north, it'll give me 0, 1, etc. I'm going to use this a lot. So just being able to convert back and forth between directions and vectors is going to be helpful. Whoops. I think numerics is not the package I wanted. Is it? Okay. Okay, so this takes in, this is a little tricky, this direction D. And it will return hello, trash bag fashion lover. How's it going? Doing good. Sorry, it took me a sec to see that. I was busy Googling. Yeah, just cranking on code on the weekend. Had you tuned in before and seen this prototype I'm working on? Or is this your first time popping on? I can't remember if you View to previous session. I can show you the functionality in a second. What was I doing? Let's finish this up real quick. Case. Whoops. Okay, so if it's east, I did this wrong. I always screw up the syntax on these switch statements. I try to use them so infrequently that I don't even have to know how they work. East return vector 2 1 0. Now I'm going to do one of these for each direction. North is going to return 0 1. West is going to return -1 0. And south is going to return 0 -1. I don't need a default case because it's never going to reach here, but maybe if I add like diagonal directions in the future or whatever, this will keep it from breaking immediately. Okay, so in theory now I can ask a direction to give me a vector. And this should work. Do I have errors? No errors yet. All right. So we've got our little ship flying around. We can say add a part. Oh, okay, it threw an error. Snap point prefab. Okay, cool. Let's finish adding this piece of functionality. So there's prefab for the snap points. I'm going to remove these existing snap points from it because I don't need them. Those are just remnants from doing it the dumb way. And so now I want to get the local position of the snap point. So I want to get, so I want to look at the slot and I want to say, where does the snap point go that's facing in that direction from that build slot? And the answer is, it is its position plus half a unit in the correct direction. So we start with its position. And then we add its direction as a normalized vector 2. Oh, it won't let me straight up add the vector 2 into the vector 3. I thought it might have a default behavior, just ignore the third value, the z value, but so the offset, we'll call it the direction offset to be clear, equals the offset in the direction, and then we're going to add it. We're going to do the offset in the direction times 0.5 because it's half a unit in the proper direction. We're going to add x y and 0. So this is the local position where the snap point is supposed to go, given a build slot and a direction. We're just offsetting a half a unit in the corresponding direction. So for each build piece, we look at where it's supposed to have snap points. North, south, east, and west. If it's supposed to have a snap point in that direction, and there's a neighboring slot in that direction, and that neighboring slot doesn't have a piece in it, we'll draw a snap point. So then we create a snap point, we parent it, and we set its local position to this value that we just figured out how to calculate. Equals this guy right here, where we are passing in the slot, which we get from the build pieces dictionary, and direction corresponding to the current, because we're going to do 0, 1, 2, 3. And then that might be all there is to it, at least for creating all these. This might just work. Let's have a look. Let's have a look-see. So flying our little ship around, we say, okay, I want to add a gun to the ship. Add gun shows our slots. They snap into place when I'm moused over them. I click. Okay, but we are not showing build points. Snap points. Why is that? Okay, looks like the answer is a couple reasons. One, they're not getting put in the right position, because they're appearing in the dead center of a piece, which shouldn't happen, so there's some error in logic there. And two, they are showing up with the wrong Z value. So oh, this is also, okay, I'm putting them at a local position relative to the slot, which is not right. Or the slot's local position. So we want these to go to okay. I don't know why I was doing this wrong. So we want them to start off at 0, which is locally the center of the piece, and then offset it in the direction. And we want it to be rendering in the front here on top. All right, try this again. Add gun. All right, well, this still isn't right. So these are all showing up at the center. So we're creating a snap point. We're parenting it to, oh, we're not parenting it to its build slot. So maybe I actually had this correct before. We want to set their position to the slot's local position, and then we want to offset it by the direction here. Is this going to work? Not sure why it's placing these at 0. Something's obviously not getting applied or used. I have thought through this wrong. Okay, so we want to create a snap point. We want to parent it to the ship. We want to set its local position to the slot's local position. Oh. Maybe it's because I'm doing this whole calculation and then not returning it. I'm just returning an empty vector. Brilliant. It would help if I actually used the calculation I was doing. I was like, add all these numbers together and then use 0 instead. Okay, add gun. Look at that, snap points. Boop. Add gun. Boop. Beautiful. Look at that ship. Look at that ship. This game's basically done, right? All right. So that's cool. It's showing those little pink snap points now. There and there. We say add gun. Doop. Add gun. Doop. Cool. So it's drawing the snap points where it's supposed to. But we only want, so it's calculating how to visualize the build area, showing the snap points, showing the slots and things, but it's never updating that. So after you build something, it's still showing the same spots. So what we need to do next is make it so that when you attach a piece onto the ship, it will update the build area visualization. So where are we calling visualize build area right now? We're turning it off at the start, and then every time we begin adding a piece, we are recalling this. Oops. So in theory, we should be revisualizing the build area every time we go to add another piece, right? But it's not updating currently. So something's not happening. So here's a question. Am I just creating duplicates of these and not destroying them? I don't know. So right now, we see 2 snap points. We'll go add gun, doop. Now we have 4 snap points, add gun, doop. Now we have 5? Oh, because it redrew the one only on the other side. Okay, so the snap points aren't getting deleted when we add a new one. So every time we oh, I see. I'm creating a collection to hold all the snap points that we create, but I'm not adding anything to it. So there's nothing to clear out when we reset. So the snap points are just piling up instead of clearing out and then regenerating. So, so each time we create a snap point, we want to add it to the snap points object. Snap point objects array. Maybe we can do that as soon as we instantiate it, actually, before any other shenanigans happen. So now that they're stored in that list, they'll be available to get deleted when we want to clear them out. So we should be able to say add a gun, click it on, add a gun. Yeah. So now the only thing is, these are getting cleared out when we grab a new piece, but they should get cleared out as soon as we finish adding a piece, which is easy. So I have a method in here called begin adding piece, but I have no end adding piece that makes the visualization hide. So I need to add that. Should take in nothing. We should stop visualizing the build area on the ship, and if the current piece isn't null, we need to destroy it. And then give up our reference to it immediately in case it's not done being destroyed before we try to do something else with it. Because destroy doesn't happen instantly. It has a little bit of delay sometimes with when the engine handles it, is my understanding. And so when we're done adding a piece, we turn off the visualization. We destroy the piece that we're holding on the mouse, if any. And yeah, so where do we call this? For now, we call it after a piece is attached. We'll also add like a cancel button where this will get called. So if there's a piece attached to the mouse that's not on the ship, it'll wipe it out when you do that. All right, so we got our ship. We had a gun. Snaps into place when we're close. We click, boom. Add a gun, boom. Beautiful. The snap points aren't disappearing like they're supposed to though, so let's look into that. Okay. When we turn off visualizing the build area, we have to also turn off the snap points. Just need to add a call somewhere. So ship builder, ship dot visualize build area. Destroy the snap points. This should be getting called, actually. Should be destroying all the snap points. But I guess this isn't getting called. Some kind of logic problem here. Add a gun. This has been called twice. Ooh, that's a bug to fix. Just discovered another issue, unrelated, but I'll do that in a second. All right, so come on, Unity. What you doing? Add gun. Snap it in. All right. It is destroying the snap points. Is it then immediately recreating them? Yes, it is. That's the problem. If the snap points are supposed to be invisible, then we're not supposed to go create them and display them. We're supposed to just return. Okay. So we wipe them out either way, and then if they're not supposed to be visible, we just return. Otherwise, we keep going and create them and display them. All right, that makes sense. All right, so say we want to add a gun to our ship, attach it here, boop, Look at that. Add a gun to our ship. Attach it here. Boop. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, here's a question. Why are the guns not showing snap points? Because the guns are supposed to have a bunch of snap points on them as well. There's a couple of reasons that could be happening. Let's take a look real quick. So, add a piece. Let's look at that gun we just attached. Okay, its snap points array is set. So it's supposed to have snap points. Now here's a question. Does the ship know that it has a gun attached to it? This is a good question. Oh, I can't actually easily view that. Okay. So when a piece gets added, we add it to our build pieces array. So the build piece equals piece. Okay. And when we visualize the build area, it seems like it's not iterating over the pieces we've added, only over the cockpit. So let's set snap points visible for each build piece. Let's print the names of all the build pieces that we're iterating over here. See if it's even hitting the guns or if they're like not getting added to the collection or something. Something's not hooked up or working. Add a gun. Okay, so that printed out just ship, which is what we expect. Oops, I broke it. Add gun. Add gun. It's printing out only ship. Okay. So the gun is part of the ship, but it's not seeing it. So build pieces.keys is not containing the newly added thing. So when we add a piece, aha. I see. I forgot to add the functionality that gives a reference to the pieces that we're adding to the ship. So we're assigning it to the slot like we're supposed to, but we're not putting it in the build pieces array. That's what's missing. I made this second version of the method but didn't move all the functionality into it, so it wasn't adding the newly attached gun piece to the ship's collection. So this should be pretty cool now. If this works, I think we'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff. So, add a gun. Boop, we add a gun. Add another gun. Look at that. We can add more guns. Add a gun. Add a gun. It lets us add guns behind guns, which is not what we want. But that can be dealt with. All right. So now we can make our ship fly around. We can look at all those lasers. Beautiful. Beautiful. That looks pretty cool. This is already really fun to tinker with. What happens if we reach the edge of our little building array here? Because we're only supposed to be able to go 5 in each direction. Yep. Okay, cool. It sets the bounds properly. Look at all these guns. Well, this is sweet. All right. Not bad, not bad. So, other things. I think now... going to have to decide what happens if a piece is being attached in a direction that it doesn't have an attach point. So I think if a piece doesn't have an attach point in a particular direction, we need to block it from being used in a given slot. So like if a gun doesn't have an attach point in the up direction, it should block me from putting it directly behind something. Like a gun needs an open spot in front of it. So adding the logic that does that kind of checking, I think is going to be coming up here in a sec. First, I also want to see the attach points on the piece I'm attaching, because right now they're not being visualized at all. So, let's add logic for that. It's going to basically borrow the logic from the ship snap point visualization, except that it shows all of them instead of only showing the ones that are attached to slots, because there are no slots on a piece that's not attached to the ship yet. So let's make a method to set the snap points visible on a build piece. So this is a little bit repetitive with the snap point visualization that we already have on the ship, but I'm still gonna kind of do it separately because we might want to show the snap points differently or at different times on the pieces that are unattached from the ship versus the ones that are on the ship. So I'm going to kind of duplicate functionality here a bit, which you normally don't want to do, but let's go with set snap points visible. So if, let's see, I'm going to do this the exact same way. Thinking about whether I actually want to create and destroy these all the time. Yeah, I think I'll create them when they're visible and then just kill them when they're not. That's fine. It's just steal code here from let's destroy them all. And this time not make the same mistake with not returning if we're not displaying. So if we're setting them to not visible, we just destroy them all in return. Okay. Otherwise, we proceed. And this should be really easy this time because we've already done this logic. Some version of this simplified. Don't need to create a separate, okay, we already have access to the snap points, so this lives here. So for each direction, if there's a snap point in that direction, and there's no notion of neighbors on pieces that are just detached. This is purely just this piece showing a visualization of its own snap points. Doesn't care about neighbors or anything. So if there's a snap point in that direction, instantiate one, add it to the collection so that we can delete it later if we want to. Parent it to myself and then set its local position to, this is actually simpler. This will be, we're going to take this integer, convert it to a direction, and then get a vector from that direction using the helper method we wrote. Times 0.5, because we're offsetting it a half a unit in the appropriate direction. And this is a vector 2, not a vector 3, so we've got to store this. What is this complaining about? Oh, float. All right, the local position equals offset.x